Clay, I'd like to start with you this week. The Banner came out with a poll, I guess, last week, suggesting that Moore would win against running against former Governor Hogan, but it seemed tighter than it should have been, and his favorability ratings have been somewhat stagnant or even on the decline recently. What do you make of all that?
Well, I look at this poll, and on the surface, the numbers look favorable to Governor Moore. But I got to tell you, I took a deeper dive into this, and I don't think it's as favorable to a candidate Moore or a candidate Hogan. As to Mr. Moore, I have some stats that I wrote down. You look at the right track, wrong track poll. Back in when Governor Hogan was the incumbent in 2018, right track, wrong track, 64% thought the state was on the right track, 20% thought it was on the wrong track. This poll, with an incumbent governor running, shows 39% think we're going in the right direction, and 47% think we're going in the wrong direction, with 14% of the people saying they don't have a clue what's going on. That is shocking and should be worrisome to the Moore administration. Taking a little deeper dive into that wrong track, that 47%, 65% of Republicans said wrong track, which isn't surprising. However, I looked at the independents and Democrats. Independents, 48%. 48% said wrong direction. And shockingly, 38% of Democrats say wrong direction. And I think a lot of the reasons for that are obvious. I mean, we've talked about all those reasons before. The blueprint is costing us a lot of money, taxing us to death. We're not seeing results out of that. Electric bills are high. There's the green agenda that's put a stop to a lot of the traditional power generation sources in Maryland. There's been a few things going on within the administration. 8 secretaries have left. There was a report last week that a former general services director is an alleged bribery scam. Some people may say, well, people are misunderstanding the Moore agenda. I don't think it's a misunderstanding. I think it's a recognition of he's not doing so well, because in the poll, most people said they could not name one thing that he has accomplished, other than some people said, well, he did a good job at raising my taxes and fees. And that's not really an accomplishment. When I look into the number, if the election was held today, would you vote for Governor Moore or Governor Hogan? And again, those two candidates shouldn't glean a lot of comfort from any of this. I looked back at the 2014 election. There was a poll taken by the Gonzalez firm a week before the 2014 election, and 73% of Democrats were in support of Moore. This time, it's 69% of Democrats are in favor of Wes Moore. Now, that's a 4% decrease, keeping in mind that the 73% support among Democrats for the candidate was a loser. Brown lost that election. On the other hand, I look at former Governor Hogan, who should not be comfortable with any of this. The week before the election in 2014, 88% of Republicans supported him. This time it's down 11 points to 77%. Now, I glean from that a couple of things. When he had that dalliance with running for president, he said a lot of things about President Trump, or then candidate Trump, that he ticked off the MAGA base with.
Yeah.
He also lost the senatorial election, which gave him another loss and showed that maybe his brand statewide isn't quite there anymore. So he's lost 11% of the support that he had, even with the Republican Party. And I was talking to Len off air that there's a song lyric from one of my favorite bands, Pink Floyd, and it says that I think it applies to both parties. They're only dimly aware of a certain unease in the air. And I think for these two candidates, neither one of them should be comfortable with where they are today.
Len, do you feel that same kind of concern for Governor Moore?
Well, I agree with Clay on the big point he made, which is that this is one of these polls that leaves nobody truly satisfied. There's nothing really here that gives encouragement to either the Moore camp or to the Hogan camp. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. I want to take maybe a slightly different direction from Clay, who did a good recitation of the data. So first of all, the good news for Governor Moore, he's going to win re-election. He's now leading Hogan 45-37. His numbers should be higher. He should be at this point, given the fact that we're heading into the first midterm of Donald Trump's second presidency, and someone with his natural political talent and ability to communicate, he should be up around at least 50%. He's not, but in no way do I see his reelection being in jeopardy. And what's distressing for former Governor Hogan is that when you replace his name with that of a generic unnamed Republican, Governor Moore's numbers stay about the same. Moore leads Hogan 45-37. It grows to 47-29 against some unknown candidate. So there's not a lot of room in this poll for Larry Hogan to grow. And there's no way that he or anybody else is going to be able to defy political gravity and a time when the vast majority of voters in this deep blue state are revulsed by the policies of Donald Trump. So that's a good thing for Wes Moore. Bad thing is, as Clay pointed out, the same poll showed that the majority of Marylanders can't put their hands on exactly what he's done in office. They're struggling to unpack his accomplishments as governor, and that's surprising and not in a great way, given the fact that we are rounding the bend from year 3 into year 4 of the cycle. Year 4 is when, by the end of year 3, you should kind of have your walk piece already lined up. You may not have the walk pieces and the campaign brochures already printed, but you should have the contents. And you should know, and the people of Maryland should know what it is you stand for and what it is you've done. And so I think he has a communications challenge ahead of him, both in 2026, because he's going to want to get that margin up. He's going to want a 10 to 12, 14-point win over whoever his opponent is, whether it's Larry Hogan or Ed Hale or Steve Hershey. The margin counts. And then even beyond the 2026 election, as he prepares for whatever comes next. And it's no great secret that Governor Moore harbors national economic and national political ambitions. He's going to have to further define who he is, what he's done, and what his vision is as he scales his political brand from a statewide level to a national level. Something else to look at, he's doing well on education. When voters in this poll were asked to gauge their satisfaction or dissatisfaction with Governor Moore's performance on a broad cross range of topics, he hits 50% on education, which is solid. He's actually above water on the crime issue, which should come as a surprise to some of the folks on the other side who like to categorize Baltimore City as a shooting gallery. 47-40 people like what he's doing on crime control and prevention. On the economic issues, however, taxes, he's underwater by 10 points. Utility prices, the price of energy, he's underwater by 13 points. And that number's not going to get any better as we head from the warm months into the cold months. And on housing affordability, he's 12 percentage points underwater. So he's going to win, but by no means should Wes Moore be doing a victory lap. And I don't think he is. I think the staff shakeups that we've seen at the cabinet level and on the second floor illustrate a recognition that Yeah, he's got to kick this thing into a higher gear if he wants to come out of 2026 a stronger figure, both as governor and as a potential candidate on the national stage.
First of all, I just have to respond to something Len said. I don't think Larry Hogan's getting in this race. I think this was a hypothetical situation, and everybody knows that I'm with Ed Hale. A hailstorm's coming. There's a tough session ahead, so we'll see what the polls say by mid-March or early April.
Clay, what's your hot take for the week?
My winner this week is Showtime. He is Mr. Ohtani from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who had one of the most incredible postseason performances I have ever witnessed. 6 scoreless innings of pitching, and to add to his cause, 3 home runs. I have never in my life seen a performance like that. I put it beyond even what Reggie Jackson did back in what was in the 70s. This was a different level of cool. It was a different level of baseball and a different level of performance. He's my winner this week. This week I really don't have a loser. I just want to do it in memoriam. Delia Charles Otto from Southern Eastern Shore represented District 38A, a farmer, a good guy. He was for Eastern Shore causes, whether it's the watermen or the farming community, and represented his district with honor for, I believe, a decade and a half. And we lost him. He was only 61 years old. And what a loss for the Eastern Shore. And I just wanted to put out condolences to his family. This has got to be a tough time, and his loss will be felt here on the shore.
Len, maybe your hat gives away some of this, but what are your ups, your good and bad for the week?
Well, first of all, I want to echo what Clay said about Shohei Ohtani. I'm even going to be even perhaps a little more hyperbolic than Clay is and say that I've been racking my brain, and I love baseball. I believe that what Shohei Ohtani did on Friday night was the single best individual performance in a game in the game's history, dating back to 1869. When you take the dominance on the mound, 6 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts, and 3 home runs, 2 of which were absolute tape measures. The second one was 469 feet estimated above the roof at Dodger Stadium. When people were if people were to say, well, how about Don Larson? Well, show me Don Larson's 3 home runs. People want to say Reggie Jackson. Well, show me when Reggie Jackson went to the mound and faced the Dodger team of Steve Garvey, Ron Cey, and Reggie Smith and struck out 10 over 6. The fact that he is doing these remarkable things and doing them simultaneously in the same game puts him in a singular spot in the annals of baseball history. Salisbury University, the number 4 team in the land. They won again this past weekend. They're now 6-0 on the season, and there appears to be absolutely no end in sight. No one that can take down Salisbury except possibly the Blue Jays of Johns Hopkins University, who are ranked number 3 in the country.
There you
So for those who say that football in Maryland is having a rough year, I point to these 2 great Maryland schools, the Birds of Prey, the Jays, and the Gauls. Go out and see some of these games. These are great student athletes. They're just playing for the love of the game. They play hard on Saturday, and they're back in the library on Sunday. I know it because I've seen it, and they deserve our attention and support.
Well done. Thanks, guys. See you next week.